What up, Paintball World? This is Steve Reyes with the first ever film review session for the Next Point YouTube channel. If you know me, you know I love watching film, and man, this was just an awesome event. Um, these two teams, this is going into the finals game for Pro Red Legion versus Edmonton Impact, and I just thought, man, this match was awesome. I thought the tournament and the layout was awesome. The way this played out, I thought there was really a lot of agreement on how to play the field, but some stark disagreements as well. And I just thought this would be the perfect match to start these film review sessions. So let's kick this thing off, man, into the finals. This has been a steady dose for Red Legion. They start off with Karslev, Hara, Malloy, J-Rab, and Sergey. And that'll be pretty much the 5 out of the 6. The one change that Red Legion was doing was Sergey and Kirill switching out, but the other four played essentially every point. Actually, they did play every point. Uh, some really interesting personnel calls for Edmonton Impact. First got to say they played really, really well. They did attack the field, but as we get through it, I think we'll see a big difference in the way they wanted to attack and the types of players they used. And really notably, Tyler Harmon not getting as many spins in this finals. They start off with their 5 here, being Zach Yakimak, Connor Kelly, Nick Laval, JC, and Chad George. And man, a lot of these players had really, really excellent weekends. Connor Kelly was definitely on one. Chad George, man, what can you say? Everything, when Heat was going through its reconstruction, that was one of the names that was it was very quiet. I didn't hear a lot of teams talking about him, and maybe some people thought he was kind of over the hill a little bit. And man, did he show what he can do? He's still an elite snake player, and man, that might be GM move of the year, getting a pickup like that late in the off season. And so a couple new guys really getting a lot of spins here for Impact. And like I said, it was kind of interesting seeing the Zach Yakimak and Laval combination in the 5, and most notably Tyler not being in a lot of the points here. Did get some reps towards the middle and end of the set here, but just some really interesting personnel calls. Dave Baines, obviously an excellent coach. I don't know him personally, but I've watched every point he's coached for the last 3 years, and always creative, always has a good idea of what's going on in the field. And I just thought this was an interesting personnel choice given the options he had to call from. So let's see how this first one kicks off, man. Like I said, really awesome set. This goes back and forth for a total of 12 points. And yeah, man, everyone was playing really well. Both these teams definitely deserved to be here. And it was kind of a pleasure going through all their footage. So let's see how this first point breaks out. As we see, we have a double home configuration for both teams. Karslev's going to make a wide move out to the mini W on the Dorito side. Really interesting dead zone here, having 3 players in this vicinity here right off the box. Looks like JC might have been shooting back up in that middle channel, maybe back at the home or trying to catch middle players filling up. This is something you're going to see throughout the entire tournament. Red Legion spammed Snake off the break with really great success. A couple paint checks, but I'm pretty sure that Horror was never eliminated going Snake off the break. And they also really spammed Malloy running and gunning to the corner. They'd mix it up with some around the Aztec and up to the brick as well, but 2 going through the gap was pretty standard for Red Legion. Really sending 2 attacking bodies to that snake side religiously. And I think in the end you'll see a big difference with the amount of bodies and the style of player that Impact ended up sending towards that snake side. So let's see how this develops here. They get a crucial kill on Zach going to that can. I assume they really wanted to try to key up on this snake side, being that was how the Russians were winning the majority of their points. So up a body here pretty early. Karslev with a quick move to that second Dorito and up to that third Dorito right away. I think he catches on to Kelly moving out of the home, losing this shot here, and takes that opportunity to get to the Dorito 50. So really love the way the Russians played. They played with a balanced attack, as you can see, both 50s occupied. Man, this kid Hara just played so awesome, man. Really liked what I saw. I love the elevation he's playing with here. Just the perfect elevation to make sure you're not getting clapped by the home or any kind of cross shots from the Dorito. But, really has a good idea of where Chad is here and is just in a very, very dominant position over top. As you see, Karslev makes a nice move into their side of the Dorito, and the attack is definitely developing. J-Rab moving into that Dorito wedge. This is where a lot of control could happen. A lot of good vision from these two bunkers. I think that was the way to control this field. You had to move up field to really get a lot of the good lanes and good control. So really interesting battle here. Can't believe that Karslev did not get the kill on Laval at the home. That's a very vulnerable position. I wonder if he had an idea that he might be there and didn't quite have the surprise factor, because if he did have the surprise factor, I'm very shocked that Laval managed to survive that engagement. And then kind of in spectacular fashion here, gets an excellent kill on Karslev on your side. And if you're an Impact fan, you just got to be really happy with that engagement there, managing to stay alive and taking a crucial weapon off that Dorito side. Ooh. Let's go back to full screen. Let's kick this back off again. J-Rab's kind of controlling that Dorito zone here for now. Like I said, big kill there for Impact to try to make this game a little more winnable. Nice move from J-Rab, moving up this mini W. A lot of movement here from this mini W to the wedge. I really like the way teams could move around between these two positions and not get so locked in. Could do a lot of the same jobs. There he goes, going back to the wedge. See Impact's kind of in this back line configuration here. Is definitely vulnerable to the attack. Malloy taking a little longer than usual getting out of the snake corner. I think it might have had a lot to do with the position of Hera. You can see that he's definitely dominant. Maybe not so much in a rush, because a lot of the plays, Malloy is very close to Hara following behind that attack. The Snake Aztec, man, I liked it off the break. It had a lot of potential, but towards this mid to late game, it's really weak to the Dorito side. It doesn't really have much on the Snake side. Really an underperforming bunker to mid to late game, and I think here Laval will be looking to move out of that prop soon. Again, one body advantage for Red Legion. Not in too much of a rush on this one. One of the longer points, honestly, out of the entire set. Man, Hara really playing a nice height. Really good height using this bunker. Making sure you don't die crossfield, but taking advantage of the elevation. Man, this move was here quite a bit. I wish I had, I know for myself, I wish I had kind of locked this move in a little bit earlier in the layout, because if you could assess no one was developed here in this Dorito section, man, this move going to their side of the brick to get the shot on the Snake player was just really excellent. And as you can see here, Hara starts sniffing it out. Excellent move there, and just really breaks this game open. You'll see Kelly here get shot out here pretty shortly, and this is pretty much game over. Set the edge on Laval, and Red Legion takes it with that Snake aggression. Excellent point if you're Red Legion. Just the way you're drawing it up. That was kind of how it went for Red Legion. A lot of the attacking teams kind of started with the Snake attack. Then it would kind of develop with some middle pressure, and that Dorito would a lot of times be that third attack. Kind of clean things up. Really great move. Love this move. Should have happened a lot more at all divisions. Excellent play there to get Chad George off the field. secure the victory for that first point. So moving on to this point two, I believe we have all the same personnel for impact, and I believe we will be seeing Sergey down and Kirill up, and that will be the only change for Red Legion throughout this set. Will be Kirill and Sergey swapping back and forth. Again, really interesting with the personnel. I would have loved, I'll probably be repeating this a bit, but I would have loved to have seen a double snake attacker on this, on the impact side. I think something like, LJ was having a great event. Chad George was playing out of his mind. And I would have loved to have seen both of them on the field at the same time. But Impact kind of electing to go with more of a mixture of attack and control. Zach definitely more of a control player, really strong gun, good laner, good shooter, good IQ, that sort of thing. But I think it got weak towards the end of or mid to late game. This was in the end kind of an attacking field and a big advantage for Russians where they sent 2 attackers to the snake side. Little bit of a bad jump there for Malloy, manages to recover. Again, spamming this same thing. Horror, snake off the break. Malloy running and gunning to the corner. Was not a fan of the double home configuration, but I gotta admit, I like the way the Russians played it a lot better than other teams. I mean, this was a quick exit for both players out of that home. I believe we have Kirill up here in the Dorito wedge, and as we see, J-Rab makes a quick move out to the snake side, getting up the snake brick. I think sending 2 bodies snake side past the gap on the Aztec really opened up the lanes for the home. Kind of tough to hold an interior zone to stop the home player from filling out when they've already sent 2 bodies wide. Kind of sets the priority to the tape, but as we can see here, just a full field development. Snake off the break, taking some risk to the Dorito side, both home players moving out to the middle, really dragging that back line to the 50 and forcing the other team to have to play with the remaining 50% of the field. Man, what a play, though, by Chad George. We got to bring this back because, as you can see, Hera went right off the break, right to the tape, and he had been doing this all tournament, dominating the tape first, taking the initiative in the snake. And one thing I really love about Impact and what Chad George did is they said, hell no, we can do the same thing. So even though it's off screen, I think we got to know that Chad went off the break and got very dominant on this tape and showed the young buck that he can shoot too. And what I love about it, immediately takes the space, comes right to the snake 50. Excellent kill here, Kirill switching, pops the top, gets J-Rab. 3-pack for Chad George, just really balling out. I think that was the way to beat Red Legion. You had to be willing to send some fire against fire. And Chad George was definitely on his game this weekend. Really, really awesome to see here. This game's going to be ending here pretty shortly. Karslev gets clipped cross field. And I think we have Malloy left here. Yeah, at that Aztec, looking to make a move. And this point will be over here shortly. Man, already shaping up to be a battle, 1-1. Definitely just another example of the snake side strength on this field. If you wanted to win this field, you had to win the snake side. Very, very difficult to try to win this field without seizing the initiative on the snake. And so far, we see both teams that were able to seize that initiative were able to take the victory. So 1-1. Man, just tough to see Tyler here without pods in his pack. Dave Baines is definitely a great coach. Albeit for me to question it, but you got to wonder. We couldn't get Tyler into the rotation a little sooner in this set. Snake off the break was there. I think some of the teams were, something important too. There was a home shot, very slim, small gap here for the entrance to the snake. And I know there were some teams doing some creative things, trying to bounce it off the pipe and try to get it to go back into the runner as they slid in. A lot of different things were going on to try to get a shot on this player, but Man, from the footage, it just seemed like the teams that took it off the break were rewarded. It was very difficult to shoot that snake off the break. J Rab had an excellent event, excellent set here. Did get caught by Chad though. What a shot! Make sure you get Kirill pop up, get J Rab. We're up huge, man. Really great event for Chad. Can't say it enough. You really love to see it. All right, so point three going into it. 1-1. Definitely shaping up to be a nice battle. And I believe it will be the same 10 players. No change for impact, and Kirill stays on. Yeah, kept Kirill in. He's kind of showing like he was going to run to the snake brick. Pulls back. Interesting move here. They moved away from the double home configuration. Again, spamming that snake off the break, snake corner running gun. Singular home, shooting snake side. And it looks like they catch Kirill right off the start box. Could have been the runner gunner. Could have been, I believe that one will be JC. It could have been JC shooting back up the middle. Could have been one of the home players shooting back up the middle. Not quite sure who it was, but definitely a great connection to try to eliminate that middle player. I think you'll see Russians go back to more of the double home off the break with quick exits, most likely trying to deny this shot. Big running gun there. I like the little stutter step from JC. Definitely didn't go through this gap full speed, concentrated on the shot, and then finish the running gun. Big move over from Chad George into the Snake 50. Really nice play there. Keeping them guessing how we're going to get our body wide. I like Zach being here. Now, Zach's rapping pretty hard here. With an active snake, that can definitely be dangerous, but it has its moments. But here was the big downside. Man, unbelievable for Hara to come through and get both of these bodies and stay alive. I think this is near unacceptable. I think Laval, or excuse me, not Laval, Zach would agree. Kind of started with this hard rap. He's really strong heads up. I'm not quite sure if he's trying to engage with J-Rab in the brick, or if maybe they were just trying to deny the second body into the snake. But rapping really hard here for having an aggressive snake player. And you do have an asset in the 50 looking inside, so I think this was a really big blunder by Impact to not be strong on their gun here for a nice move like this. But at the same time, you know, a lot of teams weren't doing moves like this, and Hara was definitely on his game. Smelled some blood in the water, saw an opportunity, and exploded through his opportunity. Getting both bodies and staying alive. Fantastic move. You literally can't ask for much more out of your snake player. Impact in a really tough spot. You know, the only thing is, I think going back, he probably would have pushed us a little harder after the move, gave time to fill out. I believe that's Rainey, one of his few reps in this set, getting out of that Aztec before I think he knows his dead meat staying there. I believe he soon will be filling into the snake, but as you can see, JC is making some really quality moves. I assume it was really based on the idea he recognized that their snake side was starting to get blown up, and he really took it upon himself to start pushing that Dorito side and try to turn the field before the snake could really end the game. Really, really nice heads-up play, wrapping the Dorito 50. Ultimately going to be the hero. Gets a nice kill, I believe, on Kirill in the back, or in the Dorito wedge. And JC's going to tiptoe here for a nice little buzzer touch while Hara's still alive in the snake. So really strong heads-up play. That's something we can all take note of in our own games. When one side of the field's just getting demolished like that, you're on the clock. You know how the Russians are going to play the snake. Sitting in the back, waiting for them to come to you on a strong snake side like this is just not going to work. And sometimes you just got to be willing to put your ears back and push forward and look to steal a game, because I think if you repeated that scenario 100 times, I don't believe Impact wins the majority of them. But, just taking a little initiative got the job done. Yeah, I really got caught sleeping there. It's a little unacceptable. But huge heads up play by JC to figure that one out. Oh, yeah, there was a little trade there. Definitely like it being up bodies at that point, but it really didn't matter because JC was already walking it in. So 2-1 Impact, man. This is going to be a battle for sure. This is going to be a battle for sure. So I believe Impact will be running the same five, and the only change in personnel, again, for Legion will be Sergey coming in for Kirill. What a battle. This was such a good set. Like I said, just a little bit of a philosophy challenge, Russians were willing to run two of their attackers to the snake side, whereas Impact was more on a mixed bag of attack and control. Definitely fared really well in the prelims and moving into Sunday. But the way the Russians were playing, they were just a little bit of a different beast. They're willing to trade out their snake players, and Malloy was quite often right behind, ready to pick up that attack, and made a big difference in the set. So point number 4. So really interesting. Man, I love how creative Dave Baines gets sometimes. I don't know exactly if this was an audible or if this was play call, but ultimately running 3 shooters in this gap. Really, really interesting. Definitely potentially dangerous. But it looked like that might have been Zach shooting heads up or back at the home, maybe for the quick shot here, and kind of just scurrying back into the home. Again, with Legion, they're just going to be spamming this 2-man operation over here. Sometimes going around and up to the brick, sometimes snake corner, but snake off the break virtually every point. Karslev, man, running and gunning to the Dorito 50 quite a bit. The shots on this field were tough to sink, man. A lot of time spent running and gunning to the Dorito corner. I think a lot of that had to do with the best shot was really this gap before the first Dorito off the box. So in a scenario like that where you can get shot, the best shot for the opposing team is this same early gap. A lot of times it's like, well, why not run and gun? Let's get another gun involved, because theoretically this player can get shot in this gap regardless, whether they dive or whether they run. So let's add another gun to the equation, I think might have been some of the thinking for Red Legion. As this point develops, though, you kind of see the difference of the spread. They also did Impact also running and gunning on the Dorito side with a nice little stutter step here. I assume shooting back at the home. I like this stutter step because it can really change the pace of the shot for the home player. They're used to somebody running and gunning full speed through this back line. And all of a sudden you kind of just do a little stutter step, throw some paint back at the home, and then continue your run and gun. Kind of just try to change the pace of that shooter, try to just give them a little bit more to think about. And it did ultimately work. I believe JC did get wide here with Connor Kelly taking a quick fill right behind him. I think that was a great move in a situation where you had 3 bodies kind of in this zone. You could imagine how difficult this position could be if Kelly didn't get out here quickly. But just looking at the spread, this was the big difference. 2 attackers here on the strong side, both of them in position to attack the snake. And, 30 yards between Chad and his closest player. Ends up being a big difference. You really are isolating your attacker here. Obviously, you're hoping for a little bit of production from the shooting and control out of this kind of, Laval and Zach kind of being in this zone here. And I think just how difficult it was to shoot some of these snake attackers. It really just allowed Red Legion to send more assets wide. Than Impact did. Decent spread on the D side, though, for Impact. Quick fill to the snake corner. I mean, again, just looking at the resources here. 3 bodies against 1 body. Red Legion was committed to winning the snake side, no doubt about it. And I think Impact was also keen on trying to win the snake side, but when you look at the bodies and where they ended up, um, there's just a difference, big difference. Quick fill there from Zach to the Aztec. But here we are. We're right back where we want to be. Russian Legion definitely lost some bodies here. Makes a big difference. But really good spread where you need it to be in this snake. I love this combo here where sometimes we have Malloy going up to the brick. He becomes the front attacker. Har's behind him, or a lot of times Har's the front attacker and Malloy's behind him. Just having two attackers in this zone really gives you a lot of options on how you wanted to enter the snake and how you wanted to execute it. This mini W on the cross, is interesting. With teams that wanted to cooperate and not push the tape too hard, this could be kind of reasonable. You could definitely catch some sloppy snake players, but in the end, just not the most difficult cross for the snake player to defeat. Really love Karslev, man, getting some free shit in the dirt. Always a fan of that. And this is how a lot of it went with Red Legion. Take the strong snake, develop up the middle, and then here comes the left hook with Karslev on the Dorito side. Really have impact in a pinch here. Now, Karslev gets a little horny here. We've done a lot here. We've came to their side of the field. We've probably swung some guns. I think at this point, it's back on the snake side. As far as the priority, you can see, I think it's the Aztec, Zach, from the snake side. Zach is shooting back at Karslev. I think you don't have to gun battle here. We've done a lot of work here. I think it's time to allow the snake side to push or to hopefully get a little bit more pressure up the middle. But a lot of work's been done here, but kind of engages on the wrap a little too hard. And a really crucial kill by Zach to kill Karslev, just to make this game, this particular point, a little more interesting. But again, we just got strong development of the snake, not afraid to come to their side, and the mini W gets punished there and comes in, kills Zach on the inside wrap, and goes and trades with Chad. Nice 3-pack for Malloy, showing that he ain't changing. He's who he is. And a really crucial point again, another battle, 2-2, tied up. J-Rab making sure he's alive. Really good battle here. And again, besides the point that JC stole on the Dorito side, it's really been about the snake. That's been the deciding factor on who wins these points. Really interesting. So moving into point 5, this is where we will see some variation from Impact. I believe this will be Tyler's first point, keeping Laval, Kelly, Yakimak, and this time LJ is going to be coming in for Chad. LJ had a great event, man. Was kind of like the change of pace guy for Chad. Chad getting probably the bulk of the spins, but LJ looked good when he was out there, and I would have loved to have seen those two on the field. They could have very much done what the Russians were doing with Malloy and Hara, and they could have been doing that with LJ and Chad. And I really think that would have been interesting to see. I think way late in the game, we'll finally get to see that configuration with LJ and Chad on the field at the same time. But for now, just LJ coming in for Chad and Tyler coming in for JC. And I believe we will be having Sergey coming in for Red Legion. All right, let's see what we got here. So, back to this quick double home configuration with a very quick fill out. Almost don't even want to call him playing the home. It was really like a shot off the box and move past it, spamming that 2-man operation on the snake again. And here's Karslev again, running and gunning to the corner. Shots off the break were tough to dial in on this field, man. There's no doubt about it. I think we go back to the can. I think this would have been a good idea for Impact if we were going to keep Zach out there to really kind of use this can. I know that first point he got shot, and I have a feeling that might have been, this can could get keyed up on really easily, but at the same time, one of the few places to have a shot on either of these players. And I think if you're Impact, losing that can player to potentially have a really high percentage shot on both of these threats on the snake probably wouldn't have been a bad trade. So here they go, coming back at it. They did a double run and gun, which was kind of interesting. They kind of both ran and gun to this prop with Tyler kind of sliding out, diving out past it to the corner. I don't know if that slowed down Kelly a little bit. He kind of got caught here and seemed to have caught a ball, maybe from the home. So Kelly taking the first death here, putting Impact behind, but reasonable spread. Backline configuration, but both corners, and we have the cam player alive. Quick 2 kills against the Russians with another kill on Karslev. Really making, in that first 5 seconds, kind of punishing Red Legion on this point. Leaving the 2 players left here on the snake side. Hara still doing what Hara's doing. I think Malloy here realizing that it's just him, and he'll be making some moves to the back here, kind of going back towards the home, towards the Dorito. Impact really taking their time here. Probably recognize that body situation. There's definitely no rush. You're not worried about much pressure on the D side. Really helps this can player stay alive, can put his back to the D side and just really focus. This looks like this is what Zach's doing. A little swapping back and forth. Let's just keep Hara in place. We know Hara's up here. We know they've lost a lot of bodies. Probably not a bad time to take it a little slower. Hara's still looking, though. Still looking for the move to break it open. Get some development here on the D side with Tyler. Into the Dorito 3 here. Yeah, just going to slowly pick it apart. Zach making a move, close distance with the snake 50. Great spread. Up bodies, upfield position. Malloy doing his best. Filling out this home. Filling back to the Aztec. Keeping his eye on his other player. You expect nothing less from a guy like Malloy. He's not going to just quit just because we're down bodies. Being creative in that back line. Again, Impact just taking their time. Not a huge rush here. Hara, not afraid to pop the top, was really important. You had to be very careful, but you couldn't ignore the top of that bunker. Now here, I think this is something Impact would like to have back here. Up 2 bodies, 2 positions to hold on to. We're well developed on the D side. And I don't think we can let a fill like this happen. Malloy goes all the way from the home up to the first Dorito, gets to engage on the tape. Luckily for Impact, he does not connect. I assume he's battling Tyler on the tape, but kind of some poor containment here to allow one of the 2 players on the field to get into a position. You could imagine if he did shoot Tyler here. All of a sudden now it's a 32, and it's a much more winnable game. And they're spread, the Red Legion is spread across the field, not trapped in that pocket like they were to start. So this was probably something I'm sure Impact will be looking at. Man, we got to do better with containment. Can't let a guy like Malloy get to the other side of the field here and kind of contain here and maybe even have connected on a shot. So good job by Tyler not dying in this engagement, keeping their up body situation. And here you see Hara is going to finally get picked off here, and we'll see LJ do a nice little crossfield drop shot into Malloy to end this point. And man, what a battle here. First half, Impact taking it. Again, winning on the snake side. Definitely really won more off the shots off the break in that first 5 to 6 seconds. But yeah, 3-2, Impact in the lead for the first half. So been back and forth, been quite a battle. First time around, was definitely excited to see how this match played out. Good to see Tyler getting some spins. Far be it from me to question a guy like Dave Baines, who definitely knows what the fuck he is doing, but I really feel like the personnel didn't quite get to that optimal situation here. You know, when you got a team of 10 really amazing paintball players, though, it can be very difficult. And like I said, I mean, this five that they started with played really well throughout the tournament. So definitely no shade, but I know if I was on the clipboard, it'd be pretty tough for me to not find a spot for a guy like Tyler on this field. Some good highlights here going through the weekend for both teams. Man, Chad was just playing really freaking well. JC had a really good event. So did the back line, though. I understand the reason why Yakimak and Laval got as much play as they did. They definitely played well. I think, looking back at some of their prelims, though, this is something to always keep in mind is just understand if your opponents are cooperating or not, A team like Russians, they don't cooperate, you know. They don't care as much about what you're doing. They care about what they're doing, and they're willing to throw their strategy smack dab at you. So just something to keep in mind. LJ looked great though. Again, would have loved to have seen LJ and Chad on the field at the same time, as opposed to just kind of like a change of pace. Connor Kelly had an excellent event, man. Kind of all over the place, shooting back from the home, connecting on shots, being an attacker, keeping himself alive. You really, really got to be happy with some of the new pickups if you're Edmonton Impact. Certainly kept with the namesake and made a huge impact on this tournament for Edmonton. Love to know what they're talking about. We certainly know the breakout. They didn't change it too much. A lot of highlights here. We know. We know. Let's get to this game now. 3-2 Impact up. Point number 6. So we should have Kirillin for the Russians, same remaining 4. And then for point 6, we go back to Tyler. And this will start with LJ in for Chad, keeping with the Kelly, Yakimak, Laval lineup. And here we go into the second half. Let's see how this progresses. What are the clipboards going to call? All right. So again, Red Legion back with that double home configuration. Like I said, I think they really wanted to deny this middle shot. Kirill and Sergey were doing moves up the middle quite a bit throughout the tournament. Not surprised to see them drag them back into that double home configuration just to try to avoid that initial shot. There we go again, spamming the run and gun with the snake off the break. I believe this time we will see Malloy coming up to the brick. As far as impact goes here, back to the double home configuration. One risk to the Dorito corner. Again, going to that can, I really think they wanted to connect on this shot, and just unfortunately, it really never happened. This was a good shot, though. This happened quite a bit in the tournament where this can player was able to eliminate a snake threat, and it just didn't really connect. So, I'm sure that's something they'd want back a little bit more, try to connect on some more of these shots against the snake attackers for Red Legion. So this was an excellent shot, actually. The way they played it, nobody went through the gap against Malloy's gun, but I actually really like this wide move around the Aztec, going up to the brick and putting your shot on this snake side, this zone right here. You could catch the snake corner going in. You could catch the runner sliding in. And it probably should have been used a little bit more. There's just so many options for this player going up the brick because shooting cross was also juicy. And I think that's what we'll see Malloy doing initially as he wraps around this Aztec. He'll be shooting D side and then kind of switches his gun back to the snake. LJ looks like he did the up and around over to the 50. Malloy does pick it up. Doesn't connect on his shot, but is definitely aware that the snake 50 is occupied. Horror kind of doing an interesting little back of the pipe shot. Wonder exactly where he's shooting. But yeah, as you can see, this is very, you're going to see a lot of it. The difference here is LJ with that 50 over. This is one of the few times, honestly, that Impact beat Red Legion to the snake 50. But even in this situation, as you can see, it does not stop Red Legion's development in other parts of the field. Already at the mini W, setting the trap on the D side, and we already got Karslev making some moves over there on the D side. Tyler in that second Dorito. Thought Tyler played really well, man. I would have loved to have seen him on the field without taking JC off the field. Very similar to the snake side. I would have loved to have seen LJ in without having to take Chad George. Definitely missed opportunity there to catch Karslev. Just missed that move there by a little bit. Kind of interesting. I know I do this. I see a lot of players do this. I think this is a mistake that happens all too often. LJ misses his shot. He got through the gap and he's at the Dorito 50. Is Karslev just going to come back and engage with you here? I mean, some players would. Most good players aren't going to. And especially Karslev. We know what Karslev's about to do. He's going to wrap here. I think staying on the inside, this is one of those situations where you just have to recognize you didn't get the kill and play accordingly. And looks like Horror picked up on this, that LJ was on the inside. And this just got to the fundamental difference between the two teams. I mean, Red Legion has two attackers here. Horror taking out LJ is just a great trade. Leave Malloy over here to attack the snake. It's just good strategy, I feel like. I'm just not afraid to make a move here. We got development on the Dorito side. Let's take advantage of it. Trades out. And now we leave Zach, who's more of a control gun player, in a brick. This player, this would have been a great spot, I think, even for Tyler. Really could have used his height and a little bit more of a dynamic player who is more willing to get into the snake and become an attacker, as opposed to more of that control type player. As you can see here, J-Rab wraps to put Zach in. Malloy takes full advantage and just picks up the attack right where they left off. And here we go again. This is Red Legion. This is where they want to win and control the field from the 50 and 40 yard lines. They've essentially brought the back line to the 50. With J-Rab still back there in the snake corner, I think you'll see him getting into the snake here shortly. That was another thing, that snake corner really was not that good, In the end of the day, it couldn't control the tape. It had good cross shots, but in the end, you're really far away from that Dorito side. So it doesn't take a lot to put a good ball on a guy and make a move when he's 50, 60 yards away. Really great development by Red Legion here. 4-on-3. Impact did lose a body here. Not quite sure who and where. I assume it was maybe Laval at the home. Not quite sure if that's Connor Kelly. That might be Connor Kelly, so that might have been Laval at the home. Not exactly 100% sure. Still got Tyler alive in the Doritos. And this was a great way. These two bunkers just slowing that Dorito side down. I think that could have helped if Impact employed that a little bit more. Might have really slowed down Karslev for that right hook and kind of isolate the snake attack. But, this balanced attack where we've now moved J-Rab to the brick, I mean, all four players are in the 40, 50 yard line. This is right up Red Legion's alley. This is how they draw it up. Now we got Impact kind of stuck, you know. It's kind of hard to even see where the win could come from. We got Dorito corner. We have Tyler in the second Dorito. And this was a great trap because you didn't even have to expose yourself to the Dorito player wrapping. You could literally roll off and just be prepared to shoot him in the gap. So really tough spot here. Not quite sure how Impact could try to win this point. Maybe it involves this player here getting crafty, maybe coming up this way, trying to get a kill here, trade out with here, and maybe give your team a chance. But just the way Red Legion developed here, getting to the 50s the way they did, just really didn't leave much of an opportunity for Impact to come back in this one. Excuse me. Karslev getting a little creative. I love this move. The person stopping the snake from winning the point is Zach here at the brick. I think they're well aware of that. You know that you have the two Dorito players in line on the tape. And instead of trying to attack the tape, he just starts getting creative in this dead zone. Really wants to kill Zach to open up the snake. Comes all the way to a little dead zone here just in front of nothing. Sneaks a shot in. And right there, the game was over. You know, this was a little bit of a, they were calling for a penalty. It did look like he could have continued shooting after he was shot himself, but I think it was definitely a trade. He had already shot Tyler, and, you know, the extra balls were just extra balls. So this really wasn't even really needed, you know. Just shooting out Zach in that brick was more than enough to give Malloy the green light to finish the point. And that's what's going to happen here. Just a little bit of attrition, a little bit of trading, and empty snake with Malloy. And that's going to be the end of the game. Or, excuse me, end of the point. So, again, really nice battle here. 7 minutes left, 3-3, back and forth. This is what the people paid for. This is what they want. I do believe these were the two best teams that understood the field the best. And, you know, just a really good battle here. 3-3. What's going to happen? That's what we all want to know. So on to point 7. Point 7, we should be getting Sergey in for the Russians. Kirill down, same 4. And I think we will see JC coming back. Tyler going to the bench. Rainey coming in for Laval. And back to Chad on the snake side with Zach. So let's see what the clipboards drew up here. So interesting. Double home configuration again. Connor really playing kind of like the low outside of the home. Kind of tough to see exactly what he's shooting at. Is he shooting at the quick shot to the right side of the home? Up that middle channel, maybe trying to catch the can player. Looks as though Rainey's playing over the top, also kind of trying to shoot this zone as opposed to like the wider shot over the brick. Chad and Zach going snake side, and JC pulling up short to that first Dorito. You know, even with both of those shots pointed back in towards Sergey still had a nice opportunity to get back into the wedge out of that vulnerable can, and still had his shot off the break, didn't connect, but really like that exit there, managing to do it even with the guns pointed at him. Let's take a look at that Russian breakout. A lot of the same here, a lot of the same. Same Malloy hard combination. I believe that's J-Rav at the home, shooting D side, Sergey can, and Karslev to the D side. Again, there's that nice little exit into that middle section. Had a nice job containing this guy. If you could see that only one guy went through, this wedge here did have an ability to kind of set a line here and just kind of force the rest of the players to kind of play to this side of the field. Again, cutting off the reinforcements to the strong side of the field. And knowing that Russians, you know, the way they were going to play, we're sending two of our assets through that gap right off the break. So even if we lose Har off the break, we still have that attacker in position. And this just says a lot about how the point went. Even, Chad gets shot here. Might have been Kirill. I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure who. Maybe the Dorito corner engagement. I didn't know of too many shots on the snake side. Was it heads up here? Yes, it was heads up. So that was, I believe, Har on the heads up shot, eliminating Chad George. But even before the elimination, just looking at this development here, we got a guy in the middle kind of cutting off the fill wide, isolating Chad again. This is another one of those situations where there's just always distance between Chad and the second player. Russians really taking advantage of that, making sure that their two is close to their one and in position to resume the attack, and just really isolates their threat. So you know who you're dealing with, and with a great spread cross field, both corners plus middle plus middle pressure, just Russians just really looking like they are winning this point in the first 10 seconds, even before Chad gets shot here heads up. Obviously, this is crucial. The only thing I don't like here, I don't know if this is it might be Sergey. I don't know if he knew that they had just eliminated the snake player, but I would have loved for him to just try to keep this containment zone and just force these players to play to this side of the field. Meanwhile, you have two strong assets in the snake ready to turn the field. I would have preferred for him to stay on this zone, but he's switching D side, getting ready for the counter punch. So tough decision. But here we go, back in the snake 50. Did allow for this fill out to the corner, but I do believe somebody was on it, and they do catch Zach filling out. Or was that Rainey? I'm not quite sure. It might have been Zach. Do catch that fill out, and we're off to the races here. 2 early kills on the snake side. 2 of our assets in the snake already. And Legion just really developing well here. In this 7th point. Home player, the widest player on the snake side. Again, JC kind of picking up on that, trying to press it on the D side. In the end, it was just tougher to swing the point from the D side. Here's the trap again. Blind trap on the zone. Very difficult for JC to find much more progress until this guy gets dealt with, and we just don't have many bodies left to do it. Here we have Har with his gun down. A little trouble here. Trying to get that gun up, but huge advantage here already on the snake side. Malloy, as always, not afraid to move forward. Little bit of lack of containment from the Russians, though. I mean, we're up huge in the snake. We've eliminated 2 bodies, and we have 2 bodies in the snake. I feel like, Kirill is on the trap to ensure that we don't lose on the D side, and I would have liked to have seen at least one of the other 2 bodies left to put themselves in position to kind of stop this move here. Definitely don't want to let Rainey back on the tape when we've already eliminated 2 snake players. Rainey's smart, though. He knows you can't do much from the snake corner. If you wanted to stop the snake, you had to get in the snake. Tape control. Now, at the same time, this was another not so great switch here. I understand they probably just called that Rainey went into the snake. There was a shot here for this player, but if you just look at the way the field is set up, Rainey's not going to win on the snake side. The best thing Rainey can do here most likely is to try to stem the bleeding over here just long enough for JC to maybe make something happen. So I'm not a big fan of this switch. Even if you kill Rainey, they still have their win. This is Impact's win condition here, JC and the third Dorito. So I would have loved to have seen him stay on that trap. I don't know if JC picked up on it or it was just great timing, but the second he switches, JC goes, gets an excellent kill on Kirill, and here he is at the 50 running the second body down. But again, we just get to a little attrition here. Malloy's going to make sure he trades out, and here's Har with his broken gun. Hopper down. Up bodies. I believe that's J-Rab who caught Kelly making the move out, and Just the war of attrition really paying out for Red Legion. Those early kills on the snake side, taking control of the snake and securing the victory on that point. Taking the lead, I believe, for the first time here. 4-3 Legion. What a battle. Moving on to point 8. Really love to know what they're talking about. I don't believe they had any. Talking about some shots to get the snake player. I assume they're discussing that middle can as a potential and the value of it. But he's saying it's difficult, man. You can get shot. It's a risk. That center can was a risk, but I do think in a lot of times, it was worth the risk. Going back to LJ, Nick, Connor. What a battle. Point 8. Man, still tough to see this here. We couldn't find a place for him on this field. Ugh. Timeout for Red Legion. Make sure they got their shit on point. What a weekend for the Russians. Back to Kirill. Same remaining 4. LJ in for Chad. Let's see what the clipboards drew up. All right. Back to it. 2-man op over here, passing through this gap. Making sure we get our assets on the snake side early. Double home configuration. Run and gun. Like we've seen quite a bit. There was that can they were talking about. They really wanted to connect on this shot, and unfortunately it just didn't happen as much as I think they would have liked to. So LJ taking the snake off the break. They lose Zach at the can. That was the tough part, the way it played out. You know, as much as I do think this can was the right call, they were just not able to connect on their shot, and Russians were absolutely able to connect on theirs back at the can. So that would have been a great weapon to fight against the snake attack that they had going on. So I am not surprised to see the Russians really prioritize shooting out a can player here and just making sure that our 2 assets get to the snake side. They did another quick fill up to that middle D side, but here we are again. Malloy to their side. Doesn't care. Now something really important for us all players. I yell at myself about this all the time. Players I coach, myself, as you can see it all divisions. LJ comes, he knows where Malloy is, his gun is fixed at the target. Goes to make the move, and then we put our gun down here. What purpose? You know, it's not for elevation. His head's above the gun. No reason here to be making the move without our gun fixated at the issue right in front of us. And, you know, it's really unfortunate because LJ's going to get a penalty here, and it actually was a bang-bang play. Malloy misses his first shot and actually hits the bunker. But this is just a good lesson for all of us here. What happened is he looks like he got caught sleeping. This looks like you got caught sleeping. And it doesn't matter that the first ball misses, really. I mean, you're asking refs to really pick up on something like that. This looks like a penalty, even though it's not. And this is just a really good lesson for all of us. We do this move one of 2 ways. Low, powerful, and undetected. Or we do it with our gun up, fixated on our issue, ready to eliminate them. And unfortunately, we kind of split the difference here. As you can see, he kind of picks his gun up. Honestly, it was a bang-bang play, but just the appearance of it really set himself up to kind of catch this unfortunate penalty. And it really does swing the game. Calling a major, 2 bodies. Really unfortunate situation. LJ played so well. And just a small mistake like that can really swing it. they kind of do some replays and assess that it definitely was a missed shot by Malloy when he first jumps up over the opponent's snake three, and his first ball did miss, but it's just a good lesson for all of us. Sometimes it's about how it looks more than what it is. These refs are trying to ref an impossible game here. Here we are. We're on our target, and then we just put our gun down. That first ball really hits right here, but it just looked bad. And they were able to kind of collect that penalty. See, the first ball misses. It was really a bang-bang play. Really unfortunate, too, because Hara just got shot there, too. So that point could have really went differently. But here we are with a 2-point lead going into point 9. As we can see, we've finally getting Tyler in there. I think that's the right call. Back to Chad. Just a good lesson for all of us. Keep that fucking gun up pointed at our opponents when we're going to make moves. There's the first flash. And there's the second flash. That is a bang-bang play. It should not have been a penalty, but just something for us all to learn. This is a hard game to officiate. Let's make it easy on the refs. It's unfortunate. I don't believe they were able to correct this. I would have liked to have seen them correct it. I believe that impact does start down a body. Let's take a look here. So back to Kirill for the Russians. I think we're doing some review here right now of the play. Looking like Laval, Kelly, Tyler. And we bring Chad in. So, yeah, really unfortunate. They will be starting down a body. I don't believe it gets corrected. I would have liked to have seen that penalty get corrected and at least let them start with their 5 bodies. But yeah, hilariously, this is gonna play out well for Impact, and this is something to remember too. This is such an interesting thing that happens so often, where the down body team actually wins the point, and you wonder why. Obviously, no one wants to go down a body before the point even starts, but you wonder if it's something about the mentality, how we're going to attack the field. Some different strategies in this scenario. For a lot of teams, their strategy is, let's just get a kill off the break. If we get a kill off the break, we're at 44 and we're back to even. The other direction to go is to attack and to try to even up the body count through positional advantage. Ooh, let's go back. See what the Russians ain't changing nothing. We don't change nothing just because we're starting up a body. We're still going to attack. Karslev going to the Dorito corner, gun down, double home configuration, and the Malloy Hara combo here. Running gun. I like this did a little pit stop before going into the snake corner. Pops in front of it into the snake. A little interesting look. Backline configuration here for Connor and Laval. And then I believe this is Tyler in the Dorito corner running and gunning. So good spread for Impact. And then most crucially here, finally catching Malloy on this move to the corner. I'd like to see who that is. I believe, man, it's hard to say. Looks like the home player is shooting heads up. It does look like the snake run and gunner is shooting heads up, so it's possible he catches him in the quick shot here in this zone. At the same time, Tyler is shooting back inside. I would be surprised if he was shooting this far back inside as opposed to shooting back at the home to kind of help yourself get to the corner, but it is possible that it was Tyler who connected. But whoever connected, killing Malloy. Ooh, was that the heads up shot? Let's take another look. Looks like Malloy might have taken an extra step. Oh, you know what this is? Look at this play. I actually did not read this correctly. This was not just a pit stop here just to kind of change up the route. He stopped here to pick up his gun and catch Malloy overstepping the snake corner. Man, really love that. What a creative fucking play to get a nice gun involved, to get a crucial kill and a point that we're starting down, and then ultimately to still get into the snake and attack. I just love that call. Here we are at 44 with a good spread on the field. Edmonton Impact pushing the snake in that snake brick. Tyler getting funky, taking the Dorito 50. Really brought it to the Russians on this one. Playing over the top, getting some crucial kills. This was a very tough job to try to slow down the Dorito from this small Aztec. It's kind of elementary to pinch that guy out as you developed. Here's Chad in the snake 50, working his inside shots, and Impact in full control of this point, starting down a body. Really could have been the turning point in the set where, you shoot, Russians shoot one body off the break. Now it's 53 and they win, making it a 3-point margin. Instead, they come out, guns blazing, get an essential kill, and put a point on the board really quickly. And now here we are, right back into the battle. At the same time that this is going on, there was a penalty called on Hara, I believe. Another bad call, I think. It wasn't a great call. It was not a penalty. Notably, though, I believe they will go into review and correct it. But either way, excellent point by Impact, keeping this a game, making it a 1-point game. We are totally in this still. Love to see Tyler getting involved here. It's like we're back to Chad. These guys were well aware of how the Russians were playing. He was talking about it. Tyler was talking about it in the pitch. If they get a kill, they're coming, man. They are coming. It's going to be tough to just sit on the back line and try to control this attack. Again, I would have loved to have seen a double attack snake side for Impact. I really think LJ and Chad at the same time would have been something to explore. Okay, so here we go, going back to this play. I actually am not convinced that, as you can see, this first shot from, I'm not sure who that was. Is that Zach? Misses and actually hits the top of the bunker, and I don't see a hit on him at all, actually. I think he was live. I don't believe Chad connected heads up, but the ref's already calling him out and giving him a minor, and unfortunately he was the last player. So, yeah, I think he was clean, actually. Now, this is kind of a similar situation with his gun being down. The only reason I critique this a little less is he's definitely playing an elevation game, trying to keep his body on the lower side. And, hey, it might have been the deciding factor of not getting shot here by the brick player. So a little bit more permissible in the way he's making this move, and immediately does get his gun up as soon as he can, getting through that gap. But, yeah, another missed call here. But like I said, most notably, I believe this call will be reversed. And unlike the Impact situation, Legion will be allowed to start with 5. Like I said, either way, great point for Impact. Not going out without a fight. Making this a game. I think this is under review right now. That's why we don't have Hara on the field. Skip through a little of this review time. There we go. Hara back on the field. 5-5. No power play going on. You wonder what they're talking about. Hey, same thing, right? Yeah, same thing, brother. All right, here we go. 5v5. 1-point game. 3:35. Let's see what the clipboards call. So I love this more for Impact, sending 2 bodies wide. Here we go. I think we're getting closer and closer to where we want it to be. Instead of having that third body trapped in here with the double home, let's get him wide with Chad on the snake side. At the same time, a little bit of a change of pace from the Russians. Hara going into the snake off the break, but Malloy playing this can, trying to get a shot on the snake side, it looks like. Let's bring that back. Ooh, it looked like he might have been shooting Dorito side on the way to the can and then switched snake side as he got into it. But regardless, here we go. Karslev taking a nice move to that first Dorito on the tape. You know, like this guy was so hard to shoot, you know. The home player, this is a big reason why I was not a big fan of the double home configuration. I know it did help you survive the breakout, but I liked it better in the Russians scenario because they're taking risks wide. They want to dominate the tapes quick, and that really helps in the double home configuration, especially when you're sending that fifth body to the snake side, breaking the containment early. I think the double home configuration really paid off more for Russians with their game plan than it did for Impact. But like I said here, I like these two bodies snake side early, kind of match what the Russians are doing here. Stuck with the double home configuration, but with another risk to the Dorito corner. So nice spread for both teams. Interesting to see how this plays out. Big slide over move, but they catch it. Let's take a look at who that might have been. Was that the can player? I think it was. I think it was Malloy in the can. So that paid off there because they hadn't used the can very much, but here connecting on that slide over was crucial. Hilariously, this looks like J-Rab shot Malloy. So that's an own kill from J-Rab killing that can player. Here's the ref chasing behind Har. Har not slowing down for anything. Right to that snake 50 again. Here we go. This is where the Russians want to be. Karslev's developed. And the third Dorito on the tape line. Here's the trap. Making sure that Impact doesn't get too froggy over here. And we got Har at the snake 50. So a loss of Malloy in the middle kind of isolates Har, but that doesn't slow him down. And here we go, right back to where Russians want to be. 3 or 4 bodies in this 50, 40-yard line. Controlling the pace. Zach gets shot by Hara. Hara playing some great elevation game, and this is what he did all tournament. I will go to your side, and this is just where this mini W really gets punished. Just can't live out of there when you don't have a snake side. And yet again, another point taken from the snake side. Is there any question? The snake side was good. The snake side was good, people. So right back to that 2-point game. The one big advantage I will say was the time. Not a lot of time cooked off there. So 2-point game going into point 11. And still very much a game here. 2-point spread, almost just about 3 minutes. Totally winnable set still. So great battle. Like I said, definitely what the people paid for. 2 of the best teams going at it. Very similar, but the differences are also extremely important. And I believe it was the deciding factor. So point 11, we finally get to, I feel like we were just dancing around one of the best configurations that Impact could have done. We finally get JC and Tyler Harmon out in the field at the same time. And on this one, we pull Zach and go Kelly, Laval, Chad. I still would have loved to have seen a little bit more of a configuration where, and I think we finally got to that in point 12, where it was JC, Harmon, Kelly, Chad, and LJ. I really would have loved to have seen them get to that. But yeah, like I said, they were kind of dancing around it. We get half of that formula here with JC and Tyler Harmon together. And yeah, here we go into point 11. Impact using the timeout. Definitely, this is the point of the set. If you win this point, you're very much in the game. If you lose this point, it's probably over. As a player, you gotta love opportunities like this. This is why you play the game. And I love the way we're going to use Tyler. We're going to use Tyler on the snake side here. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go well. They're going to connect on the shot for Harmon, but I think this is a natural place for Tyler. Tyler's had success on the snake side. Both the tower and the brick really rewarded having some height, and is a little bit more of that dynamic player as opposed to Zach, who's more of that control heavy gun player, where he has no problem pushing the envelope, becoming an attacker, and is just as good at the containment and shooting off the break as some of your other players. So I love this. This was another way we could have done it without LJ, where we had a little bit of an improved attack. But as we can see here, Russians moving away from the double home configuration, using the can on the D side, which is interesting. I thought this can's snake shots were just excellent, but it also had great shots on the D side as well. So they used that can to shoot Dorito, the two snake combination, except this time we're going to use Malloy on that wide around the Aztec up to the brick, shooting snake side. And I believe he's going to catch Tyler on the overslide here. Little bit of an overslide, gets caught, and just immediately turns it into attack, into the snake 50. And here we go. Russians in the snake 50. Kirill in position to pick up the same trap that they've been using, employing the whole game, and Russians are right where they want to be yet again. Finding creative ways, you know. A lot of times Malloy was behind Horror, but they got no problem mixing it up. Getting Malloy's gun in the game off the break, and then ultimately turning him into there's not much more of a competent player you can have in the snake than Malloy. So just really mixing it up here while at the same time not mixing it up at all. So really got to appreciate what the Russians did. I like this fill out, getting out of this Aztec late game. Definitely not the call here. One thing I don't like about the way this progressed, the snake corner here at this point in the game, he has some cross shots here on Karslev, but it's really not productive enough. In the end, this is the strong side, and this corner doesn't have tape control. So as you see, Laval gets into the snake here. But one thing I really don't like about this configuration here, I think we really needed to get Chad into the snake 3 and beyond, because this snake 1, it just wasn't a high producer, especially against a team that's already developed on the Dorito side and snake side. But, it's tough. Malloy's already in position to have the tape. I think, I don't know what the pace of it was drawn up here. This might just be more of an audible as far as getting into the snake this quickly. But unfortunately, kind of traps Laval here in the snake 1 while Chad occupies the snake 2. Really impedes the progress and doesn't allow that second player to have any sort of tape control, because that snake 1 is in set. So, a lot of what the Russians are hoping for, 2 and the 3 on the snake side, yet again, even in the point where Impact manages to get 2 bodies on the snake side, here we are. Russians say 2, 3 is better than 2, and we're willing to send 3 to the strong side of the field, with the trap on the middle on the D side, and then Karslev ready to be the counter on the Dorito. So everything developing the way the Russians want in this point, even without the body dead, just positionally exactly where they want to be. Again, just getting kind of stuck here really invalidates Laval's gun behind Chad being in that position. Would have loved to have seen, kind of tough here, especially with the Dorito development, as well as the snake corner here. If there was a way, maybe he could check off the Dorito side, put a good ball here on the snake corner, I believe that's J-Rab, and do this highway crawl up to the snake 50. That was something you saw a lot of teams employ. Probably could have been done a bit more. But you just really got to know against the Russians. I mean, is this configuration going to prove effective against the way the Russians are playing? I think it's worthy of taking some risks to try to develop here and, maybe even get funky. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say, the Dorito has shots here, but maybe you need to try to explore something in this section of the field just to try to turn the game a little bit. Probably has a low chance of success if this Dorito player's on the inside, but just hard to believe that this scenario here is going to win very much against the Russians in the way they developed. do have some development on the Dorito side. Would have loved to have seen the Russians be a little stronger on that trap. He was back in the wedge that time. Really interesting here, though. He's well aware that they made the move. He wants to make the inside move to eliminate the Dorito player. Gets a little stop there from the snake, puts a couple balls, and makes a really nice move here to just start some attrition. And that's exactly what you want here. Malloy trading out with the snake player. And here we go again. JC slipping through the Dorito side, hitting the buzzer while there's a live player. And man, what another hero play by JC when everything looks terrible and it looks like the game is going to be over. JC finds a way to make it happen on the Dorito side and touch that buzzer, making it a 1-point game with 50 seconds on the clock. 50 seconds, totally winnable. This set's still in hand. And yeah, man, you just got to give it to JC. That's twice he managed to touch the buzzer in a point that looked like it was lost for impact. And, man, great job staying alive in that trade. Kirill dead. And, yeah, manages to get over there. Put a little pressure here real quick. Go for it. Little quick trip, but not any problem. Touch the buzzer before the player can figure out what's going on. Got to pay for it a little bit, but worthy trade to make this a game. What a set, what a battle. Back and forth, even to the end, still a 1-point game, 50 seconds left. Totally winnable. And on this final 12th point, I think we finally get to what I had been hoping for. Not quite, actually. I believe we get Connor Kelly, LJ, Chad, Tyler, and Laval on this one. But really huge fan of LJ and Chad at the same time. I really wished we didn't wait until the 50-second mark to kind of put that together over there. I would have loved to have seen LJ and Chad matching Malloy and Hara, and really seeing who out of those two sets of players who could dominate the snake more. And fortunately, I think when you look back at this set and you just look at the resources the Russians were willing to send to the snake side and electing to go to attacker on that side as opposed to like a controlling player, I think that really was the difference maker. So let's take a look in this final point of the finals, Tampa 2026. We're obviously getting away from the double home configuration, and for impact, want a little bit more development. But heavy guns, looks like only one player gunned down. I believe that's Chad taking snake off the break. And here we go with that same Malloy up and around the Aztec. Looks like he's shooting heads up, trying to catch the snake player. And just look at the Russians, man. No fear, dude. No fear. Up a point. 50 seconds left. Are we just going to take conservative props and try to hold? Fuck no, we're not. We're going to run and gun cards left to the corner. We're going to take our opportunity to go up the middle running and gunning. We're going to have Malloy running and gunning to the snake brick. Home player, snake off the break. This is not the time to change your philosophy. We are going to win the way we have been winning, and you just really got to respect that from the Russians. Good development for the D side. Tyler hopping the Dorito 2 or Dorito 1 and the Dorito 2. Some snake development. 45 seconds. Big fill to the snake corner. Tyler getting shot here was crucial. They needed to get this kill on Tyler. Tyler wrapping here could be a huge problem for the Russians. Not quite sure who connected on it. I believe it looks like it was Kirill in the wedge, but what a huge kill to get Tyler here. Really neuters the attack on that Dorito side, and if this was a live betting situation, you would assume that the odds swung on this bet really hard the second that we connect on that shot against Tyler. Tyler eliminated. Options dwindling. Attrition on the snake side again. Are we just gonna sit here in the? Are we just gonna sit here in the snake brick and? Are we just gonna sit in the snake brick and wait for the player to come? Hell no. We get a kill on the snake. we're going to get to the 50 where we can control the wire. I just love that. Finish the way they started, trade up the middle, make sure you get that body off the field. Options dwindling hard. Connor Kelly doing his best to go hero ball here. 15 seconds on the clock. J-Rab's still alive. Malloy's still alive in the snake. Malloy getting shot. At the same time, Connor Kelly getting shot by J-Rab. I believe the LJ was eliminated in the snake. And there it is, man. The Russians win Tampa Open 2026. What a battle. What a tournament. Two really great teams. Two very, very similar yet different philosophies. A different approach to the assets that they were going to send to the snake side. Just what a battle. Really great set. A lot to learn from this set. Both from a game plan perspective, from the perspective of how to really function out there. You know, if you're a snake player coming up, you got to be totally inspired by what Hara did. Very few organizations in the league would have the balls to let a player get that many reps, and very few teams in the league would have kind of the math and stats behind it to really justify it. And man, I really think that's the future. This game's really functioned on the eye test for a long, long time. And I think Russian Legion, Red Legion, is on the forefront of really trying to bring numbers into the game. And you got to be inspired by what they did. You know, you got to wonder how many other pro teams might have had a player like Hara sitting there able to really make a difference. And, you know, just like I said, it takes a lot of balls, a lot of cojones to let a player like that on his first event get those kind of reps. And man, it just really paid off. MVP on your first event, that's just incredible. And man, congratulations to Russian Legion, Red Legion. I think they played amazing. Congratulations to Impact. It was a really great tournament for them. They got to be inspired by their new pickups and how well they played. And just what an awesome field. Jason crushed it. I love how the field played out. I love the type of paintball we got. And man, just exciting, dude. Can't wait for Dover. Cannot wait for Dover. So with that, we're going to call it an end. This is the first film review session. I had a great time going through it with you guys, and we're going to look to do more of these. So keep your eye out in the future, and see the rest of you guys at Dover.